Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here. I wanted to give you my thoughts on the first episode of the new HBO series, The Last of Us, based on the video game. And really the video game franchise at this point, because there have been two of them. So, my relationship with the games themselves is kind of interesting. Like, the first game, for whatever reason, and I know this is going to make me a pariah probably for anybody who watches this, but the first game just did not hook me. Like, I don't know why. I tried to play it a few different times, and it just did not sink its hooks into me. The second game, however, I completely got absorbed in. I actually got the Platinum Trophy on that, so I played all the way through it and loved it. I thought it was a great game, even though I totally understand that the story beats in the second game were a little bit controversial for people, and who knows if the show is going to deviate from that, if they're going to stick with it or do something different. And that is kind of the challenge with a show like this, right? It's such a massively popular game franchise that people who have played the games kind of know, at least early on in the series, what's going to happen. And even though I didn't get very far in the first game, I sort of knew loosely beyond what I did play, which was about a quarter of the game, what the story was going to look like. And so this first episode that I just watched here in my game room was really well done, no doubt about that. Really well acted. The way they set up everything and develop the characters, the world, the story, everything is great about it. It's interesting. One of my friends texted me earlier today and said, "Hey, check this out on IMDb. This game, this show based on this game is trending as like the best TV show ever made," which to me is kind of insane. We've had one episode of this. And to be honest, it is super well made. Again, everything in terms of the production value, all the effort put into it is wonderful, but it's not that great, right? I think there's sort of this reaction to finally having a great video game adaptation that fans of the game are just so thrilled about it that they're giving it sort of the highest marks possible. So, yes, it's very good. We're one episode in, so it's hard to know how great it's going to be in the long run. I'm totally going to keep watching it, though. I mean, I think it's good enough, certainly, to hook me. I wouldn't say that this, at least so far, is as good as something like Game of Thrones, or the original, first couple of seasons of Game of Thrones. I'm not talking about House of the Dragon, which, is good, and I still have to finish watching all of that. But, we'll see how it goes. There's nothing, and I think this is part of my issue, too. I'm kind of over zombie stuff at the moment. I didn't get super far into Walking Dead, but like Dawn of the Dead, all of that kind of thing. We've had a ton of that in recent decades, really. So, I am interested to see what they do with this. So far, everything is off to a great start. Do I think it's the best, show ever made? No, at least not so far. And that could be because I know sort of the story beats, again, early on because of what I did play of the first game in the franchise. But to me, we'll just sort of see how it goes. I think there's sort of this initial reaction from fans who are just so excited to have a great video game adaptation of a property that they just don't even know what to do with themselves at this point. So, HBO, obviously, great production studio. They're going to, I'm sure, do it justice. And, they've got the writers on board to make this something great in the long run, I think. We'll sort of see what happens with it. No spoilers here from me. I did think that, this first episode was interesting. It was kind of a tale of two halves. Like, the first part of it completely absorbed me, even though I knew exactly what was going to happen because of the games. The second part, where you get into the 20 years later sort of situation, you see what the world has become. That part was a little bit slower, and I totally understand they have to do some world building. They had to introduce some key characters, obviously, in the second half of the show. That part of it, felt a little bit slower to me. But overall, a great first episode. I'm excited to see where this goes. But anyway, those are just my kind of initial thoughts on this. If you've seen The Last of Us, if you played the games, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about it? Is it doing what you wanted it to do? Do you think it's going to be the best TV adaptation ever, as it seems to be kind of trending in that direction right now with the response from fans? So I'm curious to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below, and we'll chat soon.